We're here in Boston, Massachusetts. I am Ryan Roberts, joined by my very good friend.
Shay, how are you guys?
And we are super excited to bring this episode to you. We're actually currently sitting right across from the site of the Boston Tea Party. We're going to go take a tour here in a little bit, which we think will be awesome. We just visited Mass General, which was super cool. Shay, what's been your favorite thing so far?
Honestly, getting to know the clinicians that work at Boston MedFlight was amazing. Not only are they amazing clinicians in their skill, but just amazing people as well. So that was probably the most special time that we spent here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely 100% agree. It's always been kind of a dream to go and check out Boston MedFlight. I think the two spots that I've always wanted to check out the most were FDNY's Rescue One and Boston MedFlight. So definitely kind of a surreal experience being able to go there and experience that in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And their H145s are pretty amazing.
Yeah, the H145D3, check it out. Freaking absolutely amazing piece of machinery.
Boston MedFlight is more than just an air ambulance service. It's a vital lifeline for thousands of patients across New England. Since 1985, this nonprofit organization has been answering emergency calls with compassion and expertise, operating a fleet of 7 Airbus H-145D3 helicopters, a CJ-4 jet, and 9 ground ambulances, all equipped as mobile intensive care units.
So, hello, my name is James. I have been a critical care transport specialist paramedic with Boston MedFlight for 10 years. So, in providing care with Boston MedFlight, we can manage patients a number of different ways and get to patients a number of different ways. So, with the helicopter, we can be utilized for scene requests when ground paramedics or EMTs call us to the scene of a highway or an area where there was some type of traumatic or medical event, to get the helicopter directly to the scene.
And we try to save our helicopter transports more than our ground transports for patients who are needing time-sensitive interventions. So if they're having a heart attack or a stroke, or they've been through a major trauma and we need to get them to an operating room quickly, that's what we really try to save our helicopter transports for.
Or we can do what are known as interfacility transports, where patients get to the hospital starts kind of foundational care, and then from there, we take that patient from one hospital to another.
My name's Nikki King. I have been a nurse for 12 years, and I've been with Boston MedFlight for 6. In addition, something that's really unique to our program is we do transport patients from critical access hospitals such as Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket Cottage Hospital, where patients might need to get on an ambulance to get on a ferry, which sometimes isn't always available, or it might not be the most efficient use of time for these patients. It can take a really long time to get from these outlying island hospitals up to Boston or Providence, Rhode Island as well. So we do utilize our helicopters for those as well.
And again, the types of patients that we can run into are all variations of medical complexities, all variations of traumatic injuries. And one of the other portions of Boston MedFlight that is unique is we do a lot of cardiac specialty interventions and transports, along with the management of high-risk OB and neonatal patients as well.
We have the ability to get people to definitive care much faster than regular ground ambulances, whether for traffic or if they're in rural, really outlying areas.
Boston's food scene is a delicious blend of coastal tradition and cultural diversity. It's known for fresh seafood, especially oysters, with local varieties like Wellfleet, Duxbury, and Island Creek served up daily. The crew's favorite is Aunt Dottie's oysters, known for their clean, briny taste. You'll also find classics like New England clam chowder, lobster rolls, and baked beans, which earned Boston the nickname Beantown. From the Italian flavors of the North End to the fresh bites in the seaport, Boston serves up something for every palate.
Okay, so we're at row 34 right now, specifically to eat their oysters. We have come to eat Aunt Dottie's oysters. Ever since I had them before, I felt like they're the best type of oyster, so we got a whole rack of them today.
That's so good.
All a medical helicopter, there are a lot of things that we can do that are very different than what your standard EMT and paramedic can do. Although not impossible to do in the 911 arena, and in New England we have some other colleagues that also administer this intervention. We do carry blood products for patients that need blood. Again, we're not the only agency that does that locally, but we have that capability as well. We carry point-of-care lab testing for patients that have any type of difficulty in breathing or really complex medical illness, where getting a set of labs, as you may have heard on different TV shows or your own time in the hospital, we can do a very quick derivation of that as well. If you're really struggling to breathe, we can give you some medication to help safely put a breathing tube in your windpipe. And we have a mechanical ventilator in here that can take care of that breathing for you, as well as a cardiac monitor that's portable and a number of different pieces of medical equipment that we can use to ensure your blood pressure stays stable, to ensure that you're pain-free, to ensure that you stay sedated or asleep if you need any form of anesthesia or anything like that. Essentially, consider what's in this medical helicopter here as a really close derivation to a mobile or free-form intensive care unit.
Their helicopters, piloted by highly trained professionals, average 600 flight hours annually per aircraft. These aircraft are equipped with advanced avionics and night vision technology, ensuring safe operations even in challenging conditions. The CJ-4 jet allows for longer-range transports and operations in inclement weather, providing flexibility and reliability when every minute counts.
Hi guys, I'm Tony Pasco. Been flying with MedFlight for 8 years now. Been flying about 20 years total. Excited to be in our D3s. We have a mix of D3 conversions and straight off the line D3s. Working for MedFlight's been fantastic, great organization. We do a combination of both inter-facility and scene flights. Love what we do. It really makes an impact, and it's a great feeling at the end of the day.
Boston has played a central role in American history. It was the site of the Boston Massacre in 1770 and the Boston Tea Party in 1773, both major sparks of the American Revolution. In 1775, Paul Revere's famous midnight ride warned colonists of incoming troops just before the battles of Lexington and Concord began nearby.
That was so good. Amazing.
So this is our transport isolette. One of the things that makes our transport isolette unique from other isolettes in the program is our ability to deliver nitric for babies that need more advanced respiratory therapy, and our ability to cool using essentially a transport derivation of an Arctic sun known as a Ticotherm. So for babies with HIE or any need for immediate post-resuscitative cooling, we can offer that in a much more stepwise and specific manner than just hoping for the best or keeping a door open or doing something like that. Additionally, it's just a standard transport isolette, ProPack monitor, Hamilton T1 ventilator that is approved for neonatal use, and then our setup of syringe pumps and good old-fashioned isolette here.
Another really interesting facet of our program that is actually not critical care related is we do what's called a neonatal repatriation program. So we will go into the big inner city newborn ICUs and we will actually transport those babies to community hospital nurseries where they're not quite ready to go home. They're a little bit too early. They still need to feed and grow, but they're too well, if you will, to stay in the NICU in the city. So it kind of eases the bed space in the NICUs in the city, but and it also allows that the family members can be closer to their babies. So instead of having to travel into the city every day, pay for parking, deal with the traffic. They can actually go to a NICU or a nursery that's much closer to where they live. These babies are usually on room air. They're not really taking any medications, and it's a great opportunity for our clinicians who don't have a lot of experience with newborns to get to practice assessments on a healthy newborn, practice little things like swaddling, things like that. So it's a really good way to kind of ease into caring for newborns, especially because our program really does transport quite a lot of critically sick newborns.
Other really cool, just like neonatal fun facts, we have a milliliter specific flow meter, which is an awesome thing to clarify. The first thing you'll do when you're new with babies is someone will be like, oh, they're on 25. And you're like, that seems like a lot. And the baby's flying away. And they're like, we meant milliliters. So it's cool that we can give the truest of low flow. And I think we'll make our way up to a liter here. Yeah, so we make our way up to 3 liters, which is a ludicrous amount of oxygen for a tiny human. But it is great that we can do a lot of the non-invasive things so we don't have to escalate care unnecessarily. You get 7 people trying to stare at the glide scope, right? And this is much easier to be like, okay, this screen isn't moving. Please don't touch my screen. But
we train all of our providers to take care of newborns all the way up through adults, whether or not you have the experience. We can transport a newborn in the morning who's 500 grams, and then later in the afternoon we can take care of an adult patient on ECMO. So there is no patient that is too sick for us to transport, but we do get to take care of everybody. We don't have a dedicated neonatal pediatric team, which I really like that we get to take care of everybody. It keeps our skills sharp, it keeps things interesting. And we have incredible pediatric and neonatal medicine in the city that work alongside us.
When clinicians come on shift, they're responsible for ensuring all their equipment is stocked and in working order. But their preparation goes far beyond daily checks. They have to ensure that they're mentally prepared and efficient in all skills in order to be ready for any medical emergency. You can often find the crew performing rigorous simulations and skill competencies. This scenario takes place in rural Massachusetts after an ATV accident. The scene is modeled after a realistic wooded area with loud noises and a real ATV. 2 patients are located in separate positions within the area, requiring the flight team to split up to triage and initiate treatment. The simulation is designed to challenge communication, decision-making, and coordination in high-stress situations.
Hey everybody, Brian here with you. We are at the site of the Boston Tea Party, December 16th, 1773. Come with us and check it out. Yankee Doodle went to town,
Riding on a pony,
stuck a feather in his cap.
and called it macaroni. I am Thomas Porter, and I'm very angry, and I even have a speaking role.
I am Samuel Peck, and I own a shop on Essex Street. Dev, who are you?
I'm Nathaniel Bradley. I'm a carpenter.
Parliament not only taxed our paper and ink, they even taxed our playing cards and dice.
Everything required to build our coaches were taxed. We made a very difficult business decision.
Their holds are fit to bursting with 340 crates of East India Company tea.
This side. With the finest, most expensive teas, Young Hyacinth and Singlo, they are green teas. This crate weighs about 100 pounds. Huzzah!
Should I go now?
Please.
I don't know how these moving portraits work, so you have to forgive me.
Magic, actually.
Sure, I'll take it. I mean, that's...
Witchcraft.
Women have gotten hanged for that, but that's all right. If you look over the bulwarks there, you'll see the natural shoreline travels underneath these buildings. This entire area of the Boston city you see, none of this was here in my time in 1773. Natural shoreline did travel this way because about 70% of modern-day Boston is made up of about man-made landfill. So we estimate that Glass Hotel, that's actually about where the ships originally docked in 1773. So we're as close to the original T's destruction as we possibly can get.
About committing treason?
Yeah, it looks like I'm due to be hung now.
Now, patriots, if you all swore a solemn oath of secrecy, then please, why is there a list of 160 names on the wall right behind me?
19,380 gaseous liters, to be exact. And that's in the lock system here. So this is all hard piped in. So all they have to do is literally hit a button and it turns the oxygen on, automatically flows to them in the back. The other thing that we do carry and we don't use very often is Heliox. And the medical oxygen, we can all tie that into the back of the truck, and there's multiple ports back there. So it's the isolette and it's near the back, or it's up closer to the tech area. One thing that's unique about us versus all the other ambulances in Massachusetts is we don't have to carry a stair chair.
In EMS, trust and teamwork are everything. Cooking together may seem simple, but it builds more than just meals. It builds connection. The kitchen table sees it all: shared meals, laughter, softer moments after the weight of a tough call. Whether it's swapping stories over dinner or sitting in silence after a hard shift, these everyday rituals strengthen the bond between partners. And in a job where every call depends on trust and communication, that connection makes all the difference.
So when we saw our plays, ours was like 3. One of my friends used to run the Boston Marathon in honor of Hale. Like that was like, and their shirts all said "Run like Hale."
Yeah.
Do you think she get tired?
And in end of November, beginning of November. So.
All right, made it back to the beginning of TikTok.
Is this another garnish, or no? This actually goes in the broth.
Well, that's why I think
Yeah.
and what we really need over there. Technically, we need. Is that mine or yours?
But think small, like how you want your chowder, right? Because we're in Boston, we decided that we would make naturally a New England clam chowder. So right now we are prepping our ingredients for our clam chowder. We're going to do that as an appetizer, and then we're going to cook some salmon and asparagus as our main course.
We're jumping into.
What do you need?
There's a profit like that next over here. It's going to open your individual. Dr. Coney up there. Listen, you know Arthur DeMoulis, okay? Right. Seriously. I know Artie.
We tried it immediately.
Well, but that was the point of it, right?
I worked as a field paramedic in Florida for a few years before transitioning into a lieutenant FTO role in a county in Florida. And then I transitioned from there to a critical care children's ground transport team. And in 2019, I switched into flight medicine. When I switched into flight medicine, I started in December of 2019. And then obviously right as that was coming on was right as COVID was becoming a big thing. I got thrown directly into my orientation with COVID patients. As soon as I got off orientation, it was all COVID patients, ECMO patients, Impella patients, super sick, respiratory patients, those sort of things. And as COVID was getting better, I started to really realize in myself that my entire demeanor was changing. I was becoming agitated with people. I was becoming super irritable. I was becoming just the type of person that really nobody wanted to be around. And when I started to notice that in myself, I realized it was time for me to make a change in my career. Starting to go through therapy really opened me up to realize that I might need to step away. Looking back now, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have done any better for anybody. Whether it's my patients, whether it's myself, whether it's my partners. All right, so this is Rosie. She is a mobility support and PTSD service dog. What she does is she teaches me kind of like the unconditional love sort of thing, where people who go through PTSD, who go through anxiety and depression, especially from work-related things, we get that drive to help people, and we have hard time stepping away from that. She has the ability to go through and basically show me that you don't necessarily need to give people things in order for them to like you, to love you, to all that. And regardless of what I do for her, she's just always there. The real reality of me being somebody who has a service dog hit me when I first got accepted into the Valor program, because that was my first time where I realized that I had a diagnosis that was a disability. I'm somebody who never imagined that I would qualify for something. It's kind of that imposter syndrome. Like, people look at me walking down the street and I don't know what their thoughts are looking at me with a service dog. Like, why do you need a service dog? You're not missing a leg, you're not blind, anything like that. But knowing what she does for me and what she does for even everybody else, just being who she is, has really helped me to come to terms with my problems and my disability and stuff like that.
People. And well, that wasn't part of it yet. So, you know, I ended up without most of his clothes on.
There it is. You posted it. Yeah. It was the Princess Bride one.
All right, maybe back to the beginning of TikTok.
The beginning of TikTok? She's like, I know that sound.
She does. She usually goes and gets her own bowl. But
She usually gets her bowl, brings it to him, and he'll take it and
I mean, surely we've killed all the bacteria on it, right? Just as we're taking it out so it will stop cooking. Right. We just need a pot like twice the size at this point.
Do any of that now? Because I was doing that to like make the.
I was like, it looks like the same picture, but I don't know if that's actually how
Time.
all like in your ability to listen to.
the random people.
Right.
So we have a 24/7, 365 peer support team available at our program, and we have 2 clinicians who are on for a 7-day stretch 24/7. We have a primary peer supporter and a secondary peer supporter. We've been trained by International Critical Incident Stress Foundation teachers, and one of our own peer support team members actually does our own training now, which is great.
The team really prides itself on the level of training that we take. We ensure that every peer team member has just over 40 hours of really intensive peer team training.
Let's say I'm on as primary peer supporter. Our dispatch actually has a list of types of calls that would qualify to page out the peer supporters as something that the crew might deem necessary for requiring peer support, whether that be a pediatric call, a pediatric burn call, traumatic death on scene, things like that. They basically auto-launch a page to the crew members to ask if they need assistance. So the crew members on the call will get a page and say, do you need assistance from the peer support team? And they're given 3 options. They're given an option of no, I don't need any contact from them. The second option is yes, I would like to talk to somebody, but it's not emergent. And then the third option is I need to talk to someone emergently. I cannot continue on with my shift until I get to speak with somebody. And each crew member gets that page individually, so no one knows what the other person replies with unless someone replies with emergent, because then the entire crew stands down until they're ready to resume for the day. If the crew requests an emergent page or a stand down, we either get on the phone with them right away, or if requested, we are usually within about an hour or 2 from the closest base, and we will actually drive in to meet that crew to see how we can help. And something that I think is really great that we are getting much better at educating all of our new crew members on is that we can actually launch the peer team on behalf of someone else. So let's say that they go on a call that, might be traumatic for them personally, but it might not meet the criteria for dispatch to send out a page to our peer support team. So another crew member can actually call our dispatch and say, hey, I think that, XYZ is having a really hard time with this call. They don't even have to say why, but they could say, I really appreciate if you could send out a page to that person and saying, do you need assistance from the peer support team?
Regardless of your role, this job can be really tricky and really complicated, and we want to make sure that everyone has the care that they deserve. And I'm just thinking, I really like a creamy.
I like it.
Powder,
So
yeah.
that's why I plan on putting this whole thing in there.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm trying to not put more water in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to
So I was
water
like,
it down.
there is skin on, skin off. Of what? The sand.
Well,
She took the thing and put it up to her mouth, and I was like, you know what? Don't yuck someone's yum.
Cheers. Yeah, don't yuck someone's yum. I love that.
So there's a strong urge when we're feeling bad about a call to isolate. We want to get away, we need time to ourselves, and some of that is okay, but if we can really lean into this idea of like ministry of support, of where is my team? Where are the people that I interact with day in and day out? I think it's easiest to do that over food, station meals, and things like that, but it can be done any way possible. When we sit and we break bread and we eat together and we interact together, we maybe like get some strangers together and make a meal in an Airbnb, whatever that looks like, that is fostering community.
So stepping away from patient care, it was so difficult because you have to become a different person. We're all the type of people who want to help. So stepping away from that for me was so difficult because what do I do now? What do I do with these skills I've learned? What do I do with all this knowledge I have? What do I do with this desire to help people? I actually took an entire year off. I was forced to go through and take care of myself because that was the only person I had to take care of at that point. But just because you leave the job doesn't mean you leave all that behind. You still have all that knowledge that you can share in other ways. And through that time I had off, it was people reaching out to me because they had questions. It was friends checking on me. It was all those things that kind of really made me realize that just because I'm leaving that part of the job behind, there are other ways I can share. You can't do any good for them if you have all this stuff inside of you, because you're just gonna make it worse for yourself because you're taking all of their stuff and putting it on you, and then eventually you're gonna put it back on them. So you really just need to take care of yourself.
Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for coming and spending the day with us. I know you didn't even know us, and you were like, yeah, we'll come. And I met you guys last weekend, so.
This is some random Airbnb with people we've never met before. We're going to have chowder. Yeah.
We'll be there. Yeah, I'm so glad I came to Boston to cook you something you can eat all the time. I love it though, you know what?
I would say for the very first step you should take is to see what is available for you for resources. So do you have some sort of peer support team that you can speak to that can help you with maybe a connection of either a therapist or somebody you can talk to that you can kind of bounce your ideas off of? Because talking to, not that my friends or my partners weren't good at that, but to go through and be that open with somebody who you know on a personal level, as we all know, is extremely difficult. Maybe you don't need to step away, but you really need to figure out what the cause of that is and what the root of your, I say issues, but what the root of your problems are.
The American Psychological Association actually has a list of what makes an event traumatic. And one of those key markers of a traumatic event is a change in worldview. So if you're a brand new EMT out in the street and you go to your first really gnarly car accident and somebody's leg is attached backwards, and you've never seen the human body do that, or you've never recognized that much anguish or pain or blood or what have you, that is a traumatic event. Your senior EMT, your senior paramedic, the nursing staff will be like, oh, pish posh, broken leg, no big deal, buck up champ, you'll be fine. And what I wish I knew earlier is it has nothing to do with your level of experience, and it has everything to do with your level of exposure. So it's not that you're new and they're seasoned and they're tougher than you. It's they've seen people's legs on backwards before. It's they've seen child abuse before, and it could have very well been traumatic for them.
You know, if you have to go through every year or every 6 months and say, all I've done for the past year is work 180-hour weeks and, you know, sleep in the back of an ambulance because that's the only time I get to sleep, you need to reevaluate. Do you have hobbies? Do you have things outside of work? And do you have friends who are not related to your career? Have those people that can separate you when you have those bad days, so that way you don't become just that. On the other hand, I also think it's okay to take a day and do nothing. Sometimes we need both. You know, if you're spending multiple days at a time laying in bed doing nothing, all right, then we need to have a conversation. Set yourself, 3 goals for a day. And if you can't be the type of person that does the same thing every day, because a lot of us can't, say, before you go to bed, be like, this is what I'm gonna do the first 3 things I do when I wake up tomorrow. So waking up and going to bed are probably the 2 most important routines you're gonna have. And what you do in the middle, just be productive.
All right, so now we are at Dino's. Now, admittedly, this was recommended to me by a friend, but they said we had to try the meatball sub here. So that is exactly what we ordered, and we also ordered a Boston steak sub too that we're gonna try as well.
Some much needed fiber. Guys, you have got to see the size of this sub. So the meatball sub is absolutely fantastic, but the sub that is truly stealing the show here is going to be the Boston Steak Bomb. It's a combination of thinly sliced steak, it has pepper relish, pickles, regular peppers, onions. Absolutely phenomenal.
You might feel more alone than you've ever felt in your entire life. And if I can convince you of one thing, it's that you are not alone. There is more help available to you than you may realize, and there are more people willing to sit with you and be with you for hours, days, weeks, than for you to make a really permanent decision for temporary anguish. Cognitive behavioral therapy is the gold standard primarily because it's been used for a really long time, but there are a ton of up-and-comers in the trauma space that people recognize as really beneficial. One of the newer modalities that is showing a lot of promise, especially in the management of post-traumatic stress disorder, is this idea of EMDR, or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And what we do with EMDR is we create a framework of therapy, and then through that framework of therapy, we do modality with eye movements. Some of you may have seen a psychotherapist kind of moving a wand back and forth, or maybe asking you to tap on one side or the other, or holding paddles or buzzers, or some form of what we call bilateral stimulation. And the thought process loosely behind EMDR is we occupy your limbic and your autonomic nervous system, and by doing that, it helps us get to the trauma faster, quote unquote, and allows us to reprocess it. And what I mean by reprocessing that is not that we are healed from the trauma and we never think about it again, but if you think about one of the worst calls you've had in your career and you get this big autonomic response, my heart rate goes up, my respiratory rate goes up, I can smell the smoke, I really feel like I'm there. The goal of EMDR therapy is to make that a memory, not an intrusive memory. So someone can talk about the event and not love it, but not be really affected by it.
Okay, so we just had our subs, they were amazing, and now we're gonna go across the street to Bova's. That was also recommended to us to get a sweet treat.
Talk to your partner, whomever you live with, your loved one, your family, whomever, before the event happens. Like you've already talked about it and you've both given each other the space to have that terrible day.
What you got there?
Okay guys, we just got back to the Airbnb and finally broke into our Bova's. Holy, we just took one bite. This is the coconut pie, cream pie? Is it just coconut cake? I can't even describe it.
It's so light and fluffy.
Never had a coconut cake that good ever.
You know what this coconut cake has?
And I eat a lot of coconut cake.
There's huge upside potential in ordering this. Very little downside risk. Do not count this cake on its wins. Count it on its losses because it has
none.
Few.
It has none.
None. None.
Stay Fit for Duty was really formed by my own trauma and my own experiences, both within my personal and professional career and with losing friends, families, and colleagues to suicide. I recognized early in my transition to critical care medicine that in my personal circumstance, I was really isolated. I felt very alone, although I probably wasn't as alone as I felt like I was. And for the rock star paramedic who comes into a flight job ready to, save lives and sling tubes and do all this stuff, I really struggled for a portion of my orientation, and that struggle led me to some dark places. And I realized that I could struggle in silence, or I could take this kind of idiom that we have in the pre-hospital medical arena, that the flight medics are the top tier, right? Like, you can't get any higher in the paramedic and EMS continuum than flight medic and flight nurse. And I could use that stance to speak on my struggles and say, here I am, I'm a flight medic at a real deal program, doing real medicine and working really hard. And I'm also collapsing face down in a blood-covered flight suit, questioning whether or not I want to be alive. And I thought it was really important to openly share that story. And openly sharing that story led me to really leaning in to peer support and getting as much training and practice and time in crisis and peer support as I could. Doing that for a period of time led me to recognize that there was kind of a glass ceiling. Like, the best peer supporter in the world can be amazing, but at the end of the day, like, a peer supporter can only go so far. And my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, recognized that there was a program that specialized in counseling with a subspecialty on military and emergency response professionals. And I think I enrolled by like the end of the week. It was totally my speed. I talked to the program director, and that brought me to obtain a Master's of Science in Clinical Psychology, which allows me to not only oversee peer teams that I was once part of and help other programs build peer support teams that fit the needs of their response district, but it also allows me to hone my skills as a counselor and to be a counselor for first responders and healthcare professionals and other neurodiverse individuals who really appreciate the previous lived experience of myself as a counselor.
So every year our program has what's called a patient and family reunion, and it's usually in June, and every patient and family member gets invited who's been transported within the last year. And even patients and family members who we've transported many years ago will either get invited or return for, to come back and celebrate again, which is great. It's the most fun day we have for the whole year, I think. It's one of my favorite days because we get to see patients and their families reunite with the crews that transported them. And, sometimes these patients are being transported on the worst day of their life, and the family members don't know if they're going to survive or not. And getting to meet the crew or see the crew again who transported them can be really fulfilling and really offer a sense of closure for those families and the patients and for the crew as well. I think it's just equally as important for the crew because, sometimes these transports can be really challenging emotionally, physically, logistically, and getting to see a positive outcome is really kind of keeps us going another day, like makes it worth it to come back to work another day, especially if it's been really challenging. One of the really unique things about our program that we have the honor to participate in is transporting patients who have been declared brain dead, and we actually transport them to a very particular hospital in the city where they have a unit that is dedicated just to donor patients. And so we have the honor of taking care of these patients and transporting them to the city where they will have their organs harvested and hopefully transplanted into as many as 10 to 15 patients throughout the country.
Another thing that really impressed me, I had the chance to talk with Nikki a little bit about their sim, and I think it's cool that the company makes it really fun and engaging, but they do it rigorously. So they're always simming on things, they're always making sure that their competencies are up to date, and I think it's cool that they hold them to a high level, a high standard, because they're really performing the most critical of care. So not only do you have these amazing clinicians, but you also see that there's a huge camaraderie within the base, and they really do have a bond that you could tell is very unique. And I was really grateful that Ryan and I got to be a part of it for the weekend.
Yeah, this has been a really great trip so far, very fulfilling. And once again, going to Boston MedFlight was, I think, kind of a dream come true, and just a really humbling experience to be able to be around and converse with such knowledgeable clinicians at a base that seems to really have a family type atmosphere, and at a program that seems to really prioritize their people. In reference to the rest of the trip, just seeing the city of Boston, which is just steeped with history, was pretty mind-blowing to put it the best way I think I can.
One of the things that I think really impressed me the most about this program too is how they train their clinicians to be proficient from the neonatal newborn baby all the way to the adult. I think it's really common that you see specialty teams, so the fact that their providers and clinicians manage these patients no matter the age and they do it proficiently is actually really impressive.
Yeah, I think one of the other really surprising things too was, I mean, we show up and we get into a car with strangers, people that we have never met before, and they were just so welcoming, and just the level of hospitality that they showed us the entire time. I mean, it felt like we had known these people for a very long time, but yet we just met them earlier on in the day, and in the evening time, we're all together in the kitchen cooking a meal. And I think that just goes to show how much food can bring people together, especially people that exist in different places that are all a part of the first responder family.
If you guys like what you saw today, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're interested in having us come to your base or program, let us know.